Sweet. I'm more of a pacer, so maybe I'll go up here. As mentioned, I'm Haley Johnston. I wear a lot of hats. I own actually a small regenerative tourism business, so always fun to hear from Sarah. And then I also work for Alaska Trails. And we are a statewide nonprofit that does a lot of different work around a lot of different trails topics. We have paid trail crews, we do volunteer trail events, and we also are the owners of the Trail Initiative program, which does quite a variety of things, including planning, and it's the convener for the Long Trail Concept, and we were participatory in the SCORP process, which I bet a lot of you got some potentially annoying emails about. Thank you so much for participating. But yeah, so I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Trails Initiative, specifically about the Long Trail, and kind of what that means for the Kenai Peninsula. But real quickly, because I don't want to just talk at people, maybe we'll just do a show of hands participation moment. Raise your hand if you recreate outdoors. Excellent, everyone, perfect. I always joke that outdoor recreation is Alaska's competitive advantage. Like, I've never heard anyone be like, I moved to Alaska for the architecture. Or like, I moved to Alaska for the incredible cost of living. You know, like, no one ever says that. But I think that it is our competitive advantage for attracting visitors, of course, for attracting residents, and for retaining residents. I think we've all seen the out-migration numbers that are troubling, and as we talk about concepts like not having young people available to purchase businesses from folks who are ready to retire, I think we see that across all kinds of industries, including tourism and fishing and all sorts of stuff. So I think outdoor recreation is this wonderful resource that we have here, and it's our take that we've just barely begun to take advantage of our outdoor recreation resources. Obviously, we have an abundance of spectacular outdoor places. We've got photos from Chugach and Denali up there, but decades of underinvestment in facilities, both new and existing, planning, management, has kind of left us in this place where we just don't have enough infrastructure to keep up with the existing demand, but also the anticipated future demand. And I know investment is tough, right? There's so many things in Alaska that deserve our investment dollars, but the ROI on outdoor recreation is pretty fantastic. There was an economic study done in the Matsu that showed that for every dollar spent on outdoor recreation infrastructure and management, there's a $5 return on investment to the community. So it really does pay for itself over again. So the Trails Initiative, we do all kinds of stuff as mentioned, but we really want to work to create more and better trails in Alaska for a variety of reasons, including bolstering our economy, expanding year-round opportunities for people to be active and happy and healthy in Alaska, both visitors and residents. To do that, we educate decision makers and the public about the value of trails. We support trails planning at local, regional, and statewide levels. We champion specific trail projects. And we try to expand the base of resources to sustain and grow Alaska's trails. That includes funding. That also includes volunteer resource bases. That includes a workforce that's capable of designing and building trails. And we're working on building a strong statewide coalition that will advocate for more and better trails. So we have so many partners in this work. Many of them are here on the Kenai Peninsula. KPEDD has been an awesome partner. Tam in particular has just been an awesome advocate for trails, outdoor recreation, and the economic benefits that they bring to different regions across Alaska. But you can see this long list of people regionally who have, and organizations who have just been incredibly helpful in our work and continue to partner with us and offer expertise. So I did briefly mention the SCORP, but I want to say that that is one thing that has been far and away taking our attention these past couple years. It's a statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, and it's a mouthful, so we call it a SCORP, which is just an ugly acronym. But it's important because it unlocks federal funding for Alaska. And that is really, Alaska has a ton of federal land, as we know, and unlocking those federal dollars to create access for Alaskans is super important. So without a SCORP, we are not eligible for federal programs like the Land Water Conservation Act and the Recreational Trails Program funding. So that's super important for the state. The SCORP was awesome in that it highlighted some new data for us. So like Sarah presented some pretty fun data about independent travelers and what they're looking for. The SCORP showed us a little bit about growth in outdoor recreation here in Alaska. So outdoor recreation has grown. It was growing before the pandemic, and it continued to grow during the pandemic in Alaska. Even though visitation went down, outdoor recreation went up. So you can see from 2019 to 2021, so right in the thick of the pandemic, while we lost our cruise ship visitors, there was a 50% increase in outdoor recreation days. And this is through the use of anonymized cell phone data. So if you thought your cell phone was always tracking you, you're right. We can't see who went where, but we can see how many people with a phone in their pocket went to a state park. We can see how many people with a phone in their pocket went to a national park. We can see how many people with a phone in their pocket went to a boat launch. So we worked with a data provider to learn that information. And so despite this steady growth, and we've got some specific numbers up there if you're interested in growth from state land, some national areas as well, the growth went way up, and then the budgets basically stayed flat. In some cases, the budgets went down. So that is why we see those pictures of crumbling infrastructure, of trails that are muddy, trails that are falling apart, trailheads where the signage is no longer even legible. So that was some interesting takeaways to see that dramatic growth and that stagnation of funding. And then the tourism marketing evolving, as Sarah alluded to. Yeah, outdoor recreation, independent travel, the things that people are looking for when they come to Alaska are increasingly recreation-based. And then we always love to throw the statistic in there, but if we could just get everyone who visited Alaska to spend one more day here, it would be $250 million in revenue for the state, which it doesn't seem hard to get them to just one more day, one more dinner out, one more night at that hotel, one more hike with a guide. So that scoreboard was really awesome, and it informed kind of some of our thinking about who we're speaking to and how much outdoor recreation infrastructure we need. And then one of our other big projects is the Long Trail. So if you haven't heard of the Long Trail, this is kind of in tandem with our Trails Initiative program because we really see it as a way to attract visitors to Alaska, to provide infrastructure for Alaskans to access outdoor recreation, and to help kind of bolster our economy and our public health. There are many reasons why long trails are compelling to people. They do not need to be hiked in their entirety. You know, folks will say like, oh, we're never gonna get as many people to come hike the Alaska Long Trail as hike the PCT. But millions of people hike a section of the Appalachian Trail every year. Only a few, I wanna say it's like 25,000 people do the entirety, right? So we're not saying everyone is gonna come and they're gonna hike the entirety of the trail, but it's gonna hopefully be a draw that will bring more folks to Alaska and get them to stay a little bit longer. And the unarguable kind of piece of the puzzle here is that nowhere is as beautiful as here. Like, there are other beautiful places, but bang for your buck in terms of hiking, biking, ATV, like the terrain that you can see while out and about, no one compares. So the vision is that it'll be a 500+ mile trail that runs from the Pacific up to Fairbanks. And it's a braided system of trails, so there will be sections of the trail that are open to motorized use and equestrian use and bicycles and hikers and skiers. And I think that's really cool. I think that really speaks to the ethos of Alaska. Like, we like to get outside, and we get outside statistically as Alaskans more than people anywhere else in the United States, and we do it in more varieties of ways. So there are people in the lower 48 who are road cyclists, and they go road cycling, right? And people here go fishing and hunting and biking and hiking. And I think that's really cool, and I'm excited for a trail system that embraces all those use patterns. So along with the braided system of trails, we have what we're starting to call on-ramps and off-ramps. So where are the on and off-ramps going to be for this trail? Because not everyone's going to want to do the whole thing. So for example, as the trail goes through Anchorage or through South Central, one of the logical places to put the trail is over Crow Pass. There's an existing path that goes from Girdwood to Eagle River. That's definitely going to be one of the routes. But Anchorage is really interested in economically connecting to the Long Trail. So they are really pushing for a braid that goes through Anchorage, and it might be paved, there might be a kind of a lower elevation version. And so I'm really excited to see what we get for on-ramps and off-ramps here on the Kenai Peninsula. So some of the goals is that Long Trail will improve access generally, because if we're gonna have a long, cohesive trail, we're gonna need trailheads, we're gonna need better maintained trails. We hope it will improve Alaskans' quality of life because better access to outdoor recreation, more access to outdoor recreation, I think is only a good thing. Healthy lives are quality lives. Promote our local heritage and traditional cultures. I think we're seeing a real move towards Indigenous wayfinding along trails, and that would definitely be something that we're trying to embrace along with this project. And then the big takeaways, like a more durable, stronger economy for our state. More reasons for visitors to come, more reasons for visitors to stay. So getting back to this on-ramps and off-ramps idea, we are the convener of this project, so we are super excited about partners bringing us ideas, making pitches for where it should go, what it should look like, and we're super receptive to new ideas. We love the motorized, non-motorized braids. I think it leaves a little bit of something for everybody along the route. And it's really great because we don't have the jurisdiction, nor do we have the interest in changing existing use on, say, national forest or national parks or state parks. So it's really cool that we've been able to find on and off ramps. So one of the proposed on and off ramps is more of a connection to kind of central Kenai Peninsula, utilizing that Devil's Pass, Russian River, Res Pass trails. And we've seen some pretty exciting lines drawn on the map as well that connect over from Homer and or Seldovia, so that would be pretty cool to see as well. And then finally, this is a big audacious goal, and I think that big audacious goals are sexy and people want to get behind them, but in the end, what it's going to take is some funding. And we've had some really big wins. Generally, Alaska Trails, we're trying to increase funding for outdoor recreation in the state. Statewide, right? But one place where we've been successful is the Long Trail in particular. So in 2021, the governor, he put forth this infrastructure proposal and included a nice chunk of change for the Long Trail. Then, kind of through the political back and forth, some things got vetoed, some things got crossed out of the budget, and it didn't make it in that year. Last year, the Alaska legislature passed a capital budget that included basically $15 million for Alaska Long Trail projects, which is super exciting. In the red penning of that budget, some projects got cut out, but we did retain a bunch of projects for the Anchorage area. To me, that was a little bit of a bummer, because I think the Anchorage area is always going to be capable of finding funding in other places, right? Like, there's a bigger population area, there's bigger nonprofits, bigger trail partners. I would really like to see the state fund more trail projects in rural areas because I think your ROI in rural areas is going to be higher than your ROI in Anchorage. And then, in terms of this coming year, we're working with partners to put together another package. The package will be mostly long trail projects, but we'll have some things peppered in there as well that we're asking for that are just generally good outdoor recreation investments. And on the federal side, we've been fairly successful so far. So a bunch of money in Chugach National Forest for the southern trek of the Iditarod Trail, and then a feasibility study going on right now for actually what the designation of the Long Trail will be, which remains to be seen. What is super awesome is that everybody generally likes trails. It seems to be one of the few things we're all agreeing on lately, right? Like, we're fairly divided on a lot of topics, but conservative governments and more liberal-leaning governments and conservative communities and more liberal-leaning communities, everyone's pretty stoked on trails. And so it's been really great to see that broad bipartisan support. Tourism, business organizations, economic development organizations, it's been super awesome to have their support and help, including KPEDD. And individuals and businesses are super psyched on the idea as well. So it's nice to have something we can all kind of coalesce around with some enthusiasm. And as mentioned, so these are our projects that everything in red was not marked out with the red pen, which is a little counterintuitive. So these were all the projects we submitted, and then the governor, the ones that are in red, made it through the final cut. So that was very exciting to get some real legitimate funding through, and big kudos to the governor and the legislature. That's one of the biggest investments in outdoor recreation that the state has ever made at one time. So we felt super fortunate that that happened. We are psyched on the progress that the Long Trail is making. We are 20% of the trail constructed, either previously or recently, but we have a long way to go. We're really excited about the on-ramps and off-ramps, and we're excited about getting some funding hopefully in 2023. But if you here on the Kenai Peninsula have thoughts, questions, or ideas, I am all ears. My contact information's up there. I head up our overall Trails Initiative program, and then within that, we have a program manager for the Long Trail as well, Mariam, and so you're welcome to reach out to her as well. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's so lovely to be in Homer. Yeah, I'd love to answer any questions at any time, maybe during the mingle session about the Long Trail if you have any. So thanks.